I'm pleased to give the floor to Mr. Georgy Rudko, State Commission of Ukraine on Mineral Resources, State and Prospects. I would like to thank to Mr. Zagorodnyuk for his huge efforts contributed to the organization of this Congress. I believe that it is a rather successful event. We always have been supporting these activities. The State Commission of Ukraine on the mineral reserves, like any other such service in the world, deals with the accounting of mineral resources. In the Soviet time, that work was coordinated from Moscow, while in Ukraine we had non-ore State Commission on non-ore mineral resources. And after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, we have strengthened our former commission, which dealt with the accounting of all the mineral resources in Ukraine. Then, in 2012, Minister of Energy had issued a decree in line with which we were subordinated to the State Geological Survey, while the State Geological Survey appeared unable to carry out this work, incapable of doing this because they had neither human resources nor expertise for doing this. And we remain in this situation today. In Europe and in the world, this work is called differently. In many countries of the world, including the United States, China, Poland, Germany, some more 150 countries, there are special organizations which deal with the accounting of mineral resources. In our organization, we have 130 employees and many experts in all the area of our in every area of our responsibility. Now, this year we involved almost 700 of experts to our work. The major role of state service on mineral resource accounting is to set standards and conditions for mineral raw materials calculation in the soil, making decisions about the readiness of mineral resources for commercial production, and development of regulations for exploration, development, accounting, and state registration of the new mineral resource fields. now we have one more objective: to develop new classification of the mineral resources harmonized with the international mineral resource calculation systems. In this slide, we can observe the intensity of our work. These columns present number of geological and commercial statements submitted by exploration and production companies, while we produce our opinion. Unfortunately, non-ore mineral resources take the biggest share of those reserve statement reports. Then are ore metals, which unfortunately after occupation of Donbass had dropped considerably. Then hydrocarbons, we have 470 different objects, and underground waters, 550 different objects. And some 150 of these are ore-containing fields. So this is the major structure of our mineral resources and reserves of those mineral resources that we managed to calculate. The process of data processing inside our service is as follows. You can see them on that slide. Miroshnichenko law from 2012 tried to reform this process. Currently, we experience attempts of the Ministry of Environment to make all our statements illegitimate, and taking this responsibility about producing the methodological recommendations themselves. This is about international activity of our organization. We participated in more than 130 international research events or academic events since 2003. Among them are International Geological Congress in Australia, Methane Expo in Canada, etc. I think each country of the world developed by each country separately, and two types of international classification: the petroleum classifications and JOTA classification. Actually, Ukrainian classification could be compared, could be merged with both of those systems. Then we have very good cooperation with China. We produced our methodology for international classification and resources of mineral resources. We work jointly with our Chinese colleagues, and this fall we visited China when we signed a memorandum about cooperation between Ukraine and China. This provides a big advantage for us. The idea is to create a global classification between Ukraine and China. Besides that, for the last 4 years, we have been organizing a special workshop, annual workshop, which is called Subsoil Use in Ukraine, Prospects of for Investments. The last one was held this autumn. It was devoted to the centenary of Ukr survey. These are our publications. We have more than 60 different publications. We have a company which has been translating our publications into English and publishes them in English. We have 4 our books translated into English, and in that number, the book about classification, which I mentioned. This one is translated, then about Donbass, about economic geology, and also we produce some recommendations. So this was about the situation in our organization, and I would ask you to provide one of the recommendations to support state DKZ of Ukraine.